Hello, I'm R.A. Spratt, and I want to welcome people joining us this week on the Yoto podcast platform. Now, just so you know, most of the bedtime stories I tell here are standalone stories. But over the last year, we have been dipping in and out of the epic story of Odysseus, the hero from ancient Greek mythology. And this week, I'm going to be telling the second last installment of that tale. So if you can jump in right here, that'll be fine. I'm sure you'll pick it all up. But if you did want to go back to the beginning and start from the first episode, you can search back through the episodes. The first episode's called Odysseus, as told by Nanny Piggins, and it dropped on January 8th, 2025. Or you can go back and listen to any of the other episodes. You're going to find fairy tales, myths, legends, and mysteries. I hope you enjoy them all. Now let's get into it. Hello and welcome to Bedtime Stories with me, R.A. Spratt. Well, I'm back. I think this is the longest I've gone without recording an episode of the podcast. It's been a while. A lot has happened in the interim. I ended up going to the UK and Paris in France for an unexpected trip that I took for 3 weeks. I had to go over there to the UK to deal with a bunch of family stuff. And so I know people saw on my Instagram that I was in the UK and Paris and everything, and they were like, oh, why aren't you doing shows over here? And I would love to, but I had to I had to focus on all the family stuff. So, sometimes you've got to put family first. And so, but it did make me really want to come back and do some shows. So hopefully in the future I'll be able to make that happen. Anyway, I am back home in Bowral now, and I got to get back into it, working incredibly hard because of the 3 weeks I took off. So at the moment, just today, today's Tuesday, so this will drop tomorrow, Wednesday. So just yesterday, from your point of view, my new book, Romeo v. Juliet, has been launched in Australia. That's obviously available as a physical book in bookstores, but it's also available as an audiobook and an ebook. So, check that out. I've asked the publisher to give me an audio recording from the audiobook, so I will upload that onto the podcast as like a bonus episode. So that's happening, and now it's all a bit crazy. So I have written. You know how I've been telling the stories of the Odyssey on the podcast? Well, it occurred to me that there's this big Hollywood blockbuster movie coming out directed by Chris Nolan, and I think it's starring Matt Damon, all based on the Odyssey. I like to think they're just, following my trend and seeing what I'm doing. That's not the case at all. I'm sure it took years to make this movie. But anyway, because that movie's coming out in June or July, I contacted my publishers and said, hey, I've been doing episodes on the podcast about the Odyssey for like a year now. Would you like me to collect all these stories up and make them into a book so you can release it at the same time that the movie comes out? And their heads exploded with delight at that idea. And so I did that. I collected it all up. And right now I'm working on editing that so that the book can come out in June. It's all a bit hectic because usually it takes months and months to write books. The printer is not. And also, so we were planning to bring it out in June, but then the Sydney Writers' Festival got in touch and said, oh, can you come and present at the Sydney Writers' Festival? And that's in May. So I said, yeah. So I said to my publisher, how about we bring out the book like 10 days early? And the publisher had a bit of the printer had a bit of a cow about that. And it's like, if you want it 10 days early, you've got to deliver it a month early. So I'm trying to meet all these insane deadlines with that at the moment. And on top of that, Friday Barnes 14 is, it was due 2 days ago, but it's now due on the 23rd of this month. So I'm busy. I shouldn't have taken 3 weeks off work. But anyway, also you may notice that my voice sounds a bit funny, and I'm a bit coughing a bit at the moment because I've been struggling a bit with asthma. So these are all the things that are going on in my life, but you're probably not terribly interested in that. You just want me to tell you a story, which is fair enough. Anyway, the good news is because my story of the Odyssey is now becoming a book, I've had to finish the story. So today I'm going to read to you what will be chapter 13 in the book. And it's the last part of the story of the Odyssey. Odysseus is on his way home. I probably have to split this chapter into 2 episodes of the podcast. But anyway, we'll get into it. So probably today and next week will be the last two episodes from the podcast about the story of the Odyssey, and it'll wrap it all up. And then I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. I at the book launch for Romeo v. Juliet, there were a whole bunch of kids there who had fantastic ideas for stories I could do. On the podcast, someone was saying Ned Kelly, someone wanted me to do the Kraken. Then there was some weird thing about an octopus with Christmas crackers for hands. There was lots of excellent ideas. And when I was traveling, I had some ideas too. I went to Notre Dame in Paris, and they had some really, and the Pantheon in Paris had this really cool, massive paintings of the life of Joan of Arc. And I thought, oh, she would be a great person to do on the podcast. So, and yeah, there's a really cool statue of her in Notre Dame too. So that inspired me. And so hopefully I'll get around to doing that sometime soon. But anyway, I've got lots and lots of ideas for things to do this year on the podcast. All right. So that's all the business. Yes, I know it was quite a lot, but it is very exciting to be back and recording again. So let's get into it. Let's read this story. Okay, today I'm going to be telling the story of Odysseus and his return to Ithaca, as told by Nanny Piggins. Here we go. Having landed back on Ithaca after 20 years of being away, it occurred to Odysseus that not everyone might be happy to see her again. The thing with being a queen is that when you are away, other people begin to think that they might like your job. They begin to think that they might like your palace too. And then they begin to think that they'd like everything that goes in your palace, including your husband. When people want everything you have, life can be very dangerous indeed. In fact, so dangerous that you can easily lose your life. Now, as has been firmly established, Odysseus was cunning. She hadn't survived a 10-year war, then a 10-year journey, encountering monsters and natural disasters, just to be stabbed as soon as she set foot in her own home. So Odysseus didn't go straight to the palace. She needed to get the lowdown on what had been happening while she was away. Odysseus went to see the person she trusted most in all of Ithaca. "What, her husband Penelope?" asked Samantha. "No," said Nanny Piggins. "Then her son Telemachus?" asked Derek. "No," said Nanny Piggins. "Did she have a brother who was very good at ballet?" asked Boris. "Unfortunately not," said Nanny Piggins. "No, the person she trusted most in all of Ithaca was a swineherder called Eumaeus." "A swineherder?" asked Derek. "You mean someone who looks after pigs?" "Yes," said Nanny Piggins, glaring at Derek sternly. "What's so odd about that?" Said Derek. He did not want to enrage Nanny Piggins. The subject of pigs was very sensitive and personal for her. "It's just that, usually, after being away for so long, a monarch would want to see their prime minister or their chief of staff, someone in charge of running the country." "I don't understand your point," said Nanny Piggins. You know, someone really important in government," said Derek. "There is no one more important than the person who takes care of pigs," declared Nanny Piggins, "and Eumaeus was extremely good at it. It's not easy keeping a large number of pigs happy simultaneously. You've seen me and my sisters when we get together." "Oh, professional wrestling is less violent," agreed Michael. "Eumaeus's pigs were the happiest, least criminally inclined pigs in all of Greece. So he was a highly respected member of society," said Nanny Piggins. Derek realised that there was no way he was winning this argument, so he capitulated immediately. He wanted to hear the story, and defending his nanny with historical accuracy would not help. "Of course, Nanny Piggins," said Derek. "I don't know what I was thinking. I must have had a low blood sugar moment. Please continue." Just to be on the safe side, Odysseus disguised herself as a beggar, and wearing this disguise, she hiked up into the mountains where Eumaeus, the swineherder, cared for the royal pigs. When Odysseus knocked on the door of his hut, Eumaeus did not recognize her, but Eumaeus was a good man. Even though he thought Odysseus was a beggar, he gave her food, lent her clothes, and gave her a place to sleep. But more importantly, Eumaeus answered all of Odysseus's questions. "How goes it at the palace?" asked Odysseus. "Oh, dreadful," bemoaned Eumaeus. "Really? What's wrong?" asked Odysseus. "The whole place is infested with suitors," said Eumaeus. "Suitors?" said Odysseus. "Yes, princesses from all across Greece have come to Ithaca to persuade Penelope to marry them," explained Eumaeus. "To marry them?" exclaimed Odysseus. "But Penelope is married to me. Odysseus." "Yes, but the suitors say Odysseus is dead, and Penelope must choose a new wife, said Eumaeus, so he has someone to take care of him. He does deserve to be taken care of, conceded Odysseus. But the suitors don't care about Penelope, said Eumaeus. They just want to be queen of Ithaca. Those rascals, said Odysseus. And because of the rules of Greek hospitality, Penelope can't turn them away. He must provide feasts and lodgings for all noble visitors, continued Eumaeus. So 108 suitors have been living at the palace, eating Odysseus's cake and drinking Odysseus's mellow chocolate milk for years. How rude, said Odysseus. 108? I didn't realize there were that many princesses in Greece. Oh, yes, and they're eating and drinking Ithaca dry, said Eumaeus. It's a terrible strain on our farmers to provide the food for their daily feasts. It's a terrible shame. If only our good queen Odysseus would return, she would soon sort out those dreadful suitors. So you think that Odysseus is still alive? Asked Odysseus. Oh, yes, said Eumaeus confidently. Odysseus is a great queen. Everyone talks of her cunning and wit. But she's also good at sailing, killing people while sailing, and taking care of pigs. Anyone that competent can't be easily dispatched. Maybe Penelope would rather choose a new wife, said Odysseus. It would be understandable. He's probably cross that Odysseus has been away for so long. Oh, no, he's not cross. He's bereft, said Eumaeus. Penelope weeps all day, every day, for his beloved lost wife. He sits at his loom, weaving and weeping, and weaving all day long. The suitors keep demanding he choose one of them as his bride, but he keeps putting them off, saying he has to finish his weaving first. But I think he must unpick his weaving every night, because he's been weaving the same potholder for 20 years now, and he's never finished it. Oh, my dear, loyal Penelope, said Odysseus. Odysseus's dear, loyal Penelope. I never should have doubted you. Of course your love is true. But tell me, good swineherder, what of Odysseus's son, Telemachus? He must be of age now. Can't he get rid of the suitors? Oh, yes, Telemachus longs to be rid of them, said Eumaeus. But the suitors keep trying to ambush him and kill him. They're forever leaping out of bushes and crashing into his ship, so it's not safe for him to be here on Ithaca. Can't he fight them off? Asked Odysseus. There's only one Telemachus, and there are 108 suitors, explained Eumaeus. And Greek laws of hospitality are very specific. A good host is meant to provide food, accommodation, and wine for any noble guest. Killing them for wanting to marry your father is against the rules. We'll see about that, declared Odysseus. With that, she leapt to her feet and threw off her beggar's rags. So she was naked? Asked Michael. No, she still had her fabulous ball gown that Nausicaa had lent her on underneath, said Nanny Piggins. Phew, said Michael. Oh, my goodness, exclaimed Eumaeus. You're staggeringly beautiful. I know, said Odysseus. Also, you're the spitting image of our great queen Odysseus, only much, much older, said Eumaeus. That is because I am your queen, said Odysseus. I am Odysseus. I have been away for 20 years, and sea air is very harsh on the skin. Nevertheless, I have returned to reclaim my throne. Oh, that's wonderful, said Eumaeus. Are you going to go down to the palace and get rid of all those wicked suitors? Not yet, said Odysseus. First, I must speak to Penelope and find out what he wants. I have been away for a long time. It's still important for a healthy relationship to discuss big decisions and make them together. What can I do to help? Asked Eumaeus. Send a message to my son Telemachus, said Odysseus. Tell him to meet me here. I have a cunning plan for how to deal with those suitors, and I shall need his help. Now, at this time, Telemachus was away on a nearby island, trying to persuade the king there to help him get rid of the suitors. The king was reluctant to get involved in a fight with 108 princesses. Princesses always fight dirty. Lots of nipple crippling when you're looking the other way. So Telemachus wasn't making much progress when a messenger rushed in with a message from the swineherder Eumaeus telling him to come home to Ithaca. Being a good and noble prince, Telemachus knew it was vitally important to immediately respond to anyone in charge of pigs. He rushed home to Ithaca, thinking the swineherder must need help rebuilding a fence or negotiating a disagreement between his pigs. Telemachus was astonished when he stepped into the swineherder's hut and saw an elderly woman who looked just like his mother standing by the fire. "Why, you look just like my mother, Queen Odysseus, except very, very old," exclaimed Telemachus. "That is because I am your mother. I am Odysseus," said Odysseus, "and it is 20 years since you saw me last." Then they both burst into tears and embraced because people were much more emotionally intelligent back in the ancient Greek mythology days and not afraid of expressing themselves. After much weeping and hugging and telling each other how much they missed each other, and after Telemachus had told his mother about every school play and soccer game he'd ever been in, which took some time, they sat down and came up with a plan to confront the suitors. And as Odysseus was cunning, she knew exactly what to do. All right. Well, I think that's a good spot to leave it until next time. All right, so next time we will be finally finishing the entire epic story of the Odyssey. So I'll see you then, or you'll hear me then. Okay, until then, goodbye. Hello, it's me again. If you enjoyed listening to Bedtime Stories with R.A. Spratt, it would be really helpful if you could like, subscribe, follow, and or review the show on whatever podcast platform you're listening to now. Every little one of those digital affirmations helps, and the bigger this podcast gets, the more I can justify procrastinating from my real job to keep bringing these stories to you. Thank you.